My Hero Academia, 10 quirks that could have gone to other characters. The characters in My Hero Academia are defined by their quirks. If they could have had different quirks, most of them would have been much better off. In the hit anime series My Hero Academia, the life of each character rotates so much around their own quirks, or lack thereof, that it's hard to believe they could have had any other ability or been anything else. But it's fun to speculate regardless. As quirks are essentially genetic mutations, many of them have the same basis or distinctive similarities. In other cases, existing quirks don't really fit their users at all, or aren't that advantageous in the big picture. Having a different quirk entirely could have saved some characters a lot of grief. 10. Izuku Midoriya would benefit from Recovery Girl's Heal. Recovery Girl's quirk, Heal, is indispensable to the cast. Allowing her to mend injuries with a simple kiss, Heal has already saved countless lives. Chio Shuzenji isn't a combat heroine per se, and it's likely that she never was, but her contribution to the citizens' well-being is undeniable. Izuku's dream has always been to save people with a smile. While he's always been fixated on All Might, receiving one for all has brought him a lot of pain. He may be the best successor All Might could have chosen, but the fact remains that he is much too reckless and he breaks his own body too often. With Heal, he could have fulfilled his dream of helping people while remaining safe. It's a win-win. 9. Ochako Uraraka could easily wield Tamura Shigaraki's decay. Imagining Tamura Shigaraki's iconic decay in the hands of any other person is a little difficult, but with Ochako, it's actually quite possible. Class 1A's cute Gravity Girl is more than just a pretty face. She's a determined fighter, and she can be absolutely terrifying when she sets her mind to it. Decay and Zero Gravity are both 5-point activation quirks, as both Tamura and Ochako have to touch their targets with their 5 fingers for it to work. It's not very clear how the quirks work, particularly in Ochako's case, but it may be possible that both Decay and Zero Gravity manipulate matter at an atomic level. Ochako may not necessarily benefit from having a quirk like this, but she would easily be able to make better use of it than Tamura. 8. Katsuki Bakugo's temperament makes him the ideal candidate for stress. If there's anyone who is a perfect match for their quirk in the world of MHA, it's Katsuki Bakugo, Class 1A's temperamental powerhouse. Explosion is such a big part of him and even his hair looks to be blowing up. But it's exactly because of his explosive personality that he would be a good match for Redestro's quirk. Stress. Stress allows the leader of the Meta Liberation Army to convert the negative feelings inside him into raw power. The ability makes him significantly grow in size, speed, and strength, and is reminiscent of Marvel's Hulk. Katsuki has plenty of negative feelings on a regular basis, and he'd probably be able to spend most of his time in his enhanced form. Granted, he'd benefit from some anger management lessons, but that's not a big change from canon. 7. Tetsu and Nijiro Kirishima easily could swap quirks. It's a running joke in the anime that Tetsu's steel and Nijiro Kirishima's hardening are almost identical. While the two students turn into different substances, the basic premise of their quirks is the same. Some theories suggest that hardening is the stronger of the two abilities, while steel is more limited. Either way, these two young heroes could easily swap quirks and be perfectly fine with it. 6. Ibara Shiozaki could have a good grasp on Arbor. Class 1B's Ibara Shiozaki was supposed to be a Class 1A student. She was replaced with Toru Hakagure because her hair was too difficult to draw on a regular basis. It's a shame, because her quirk, Vine, has a lot of potential and is beautiful to watch in action. She's already displayed some of her skills during the joint training battle. where she is an essential part of her team. Class 1A students may have lost if not for Hitoshi Shinsu's presence. Ibara's quirk is reminiscent of Kamui Wood's Arbor. Ibara uses her vine-like hair against her opponents, whereas Kamui can transform his wooden body parts into powerful bindings. While the quirks function in two different ways, they have a similar affinity. Ibara would have likely been comfortable with Arbor had she been the one to wield the quirk. 5. Himiko Toga's transform is just the villainous version of Tamaki Amajiki's manifest. Himiko Toga's quirk transform causes her to have a fascination with blood and take up a life of villainy. But if her abilities had been powered by ingesting something other than blood, she wouldn't have had that problem. She'd have been very similar to third-year student Tamaki Amajiki. Hero name, Sun Eater. Both transform and manifest are very powerful. Himiko has recently become capable of channeling the quirks of the people whose blood she consumes. Tamaki can manifest multiple transformations at once. But Himiko would have perhaps been grateful to not have experienced discrimination over a quirk perceived as villainous. 4. Dabi would have welcomed Giton's quirk. The son of pro-hero Endeavor, Tuya is left permanently scarred in a quirk accident. Born out of a quirk marriage, he is cursed with an ice-resistant body unsuited to his cremation quirk. He would have welcomed Giton's ice manipulation ability, which is, in a way, very similar to his mother's. Some theories even suggest Giton may be related to Rei's side of the family. Granted, Giton has the disadvantage of not being able to create ice out of nothing, but at the very least, Dabi wouldn't strain his body every single time he has to use his quirk. His ice resistance would protect him from the cold, and he'd still have a powerful quirk that he could use to become a hero. 3. Aries Rewind could be perfect for Sir Nightai. Sir Nightai's quirk, Foresight, is interesting even by MHA standards, allowing him to see into the future. But the quirk does have its weaknesses. And Sir Nightai has been shown to fear it. He believes that once he sees someone's death through Foresight, it is impossible to prevent it. Rewind is Foresight's complete opposite. And having this quirk would allow Sir Nightai to change the terrible futures he fears so badly. Nightai's intelligence and calculating nature would also give him absolute control over Aries' volatile quirk, possibly turning it into a weapon even more powerful than One for All. 2. Dark Shadow could be a great friend for Eri. Having experienced such a difficult life, Eri is one of the characters who would probably want to give up her quirk in a heartbeat. Now that she's been rescued by the heroes, she's gradually overcoming her trauma and accepting herself. She would have, however, benefited from an unconditional protector and friend sooner. Fumikage Tokoyami's Dark Shadow would have been perfect to protect the sweet young girl from anyone who may have tried to hurt her. Without Rewind, she wouldn't have drawn Overhaul's attention. But solely being related to the Yakuza endangered her. Dark Shadow would have served her very well. 1. Izuku Midoriya could inherit All for One instead of One for All. As much as he is a hero, Izuku could have easily been a villain. Being bullied for his quirklessness as a child, he could have lost faith in society and thrown his lot in with Tamura Shigaraki. Some theories also postulate that the mysterious Hisashi Midoriya is actually All for One, and Izuku does actually hold a form of the villain's infamous quirk. Either way, a villainous Izuku is a terrible idea to contemplate, as he would have perhaps been more of a challenge to the heroes than Tamura Shigaraki himself.